Oh, so we're live now. I see.
Now we're live.
This is a different window than mine looks like.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'll make sure that we'll just wait a second.
Yeah, I can tell because it says live in red.
Yeah. There we go. So we are good. It's going through on the Facebook right now. I just got a little spasm in my back.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. I decided I'd sit at the kitchen island tonight.
I got my back, buddy. I'm sitting here comfy.
Oh, there we go. So hi, y'all. It's the two of us living our best life. I'm in Denver. He's in Jersey. Where apparently it's cold.
Oh, look at me. I'm inside and I'm bundled up like this because it is so cold.
Yeah. You also have a lot of glass in your house, so I imagine it's just a little bit chilly.
It doesn't get super warm, and really high ceilings and a lot of glass does not make for a warm house.
Yeah, but you get a lot of pretty light.
We do. Yeah. And that's good when it's so cold and you can never go outside for, 6 months.
Yeah.
Good thing.
It's been really cold here the past week. We got snow. And then today it's 55 degrees. I had my door open and Denver weather.
I'm so jealous. Oh my God, we were so cold last night. I went to a show. Did you ever see the Siberian, what's it called, Joe?
Trans-Siberian Orchestra?
Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Jade and I went last night. It was good. Have you been?
I have friends in it. I've never been.
Oh, really? No, I really enjoyed it. But it was so cold walking through to the Prudential Center in Newark. Oh my God. We had our hoods on. It was bitter. And everybody in line, you know it's cold when everyone in Newark and New Jersey is huddled close together in the line and they were happy about it.
Yeah. It's like the penguin mentality. The penguins all just get together in Antarctica.
You want to be right in the middle.
Somebody just said it's -40 in North Dakota. I'm very familiar with that because my family used to live in South Dakota. And when you go home for Christmas, it's 40 below. No. You have to cover every inch of your skin.
I can't even imagine.
It hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So we are here for our last Facebook Live of 2017.
Yes. Wow.
We actually talked about this on the phone earlier today, and it's back when we started doing this 3 years ago, it was only written. So we would have to write responses to everybody, and then Facebook Live happened, and it really helped a whole lot, and it makes it much better. But we have done 30 or 34 Facebook Live Q&As together.
It's over 30. It's well over 30.
I mean, that's incredible. So it's super fun. It's one of my favorite things all month. And this makes me happy. So for those of you who don't know Shari, you all follow me on my page. You know what's up. I will let you introduce yourself, give a little bit of your backstory, and then we'll kick it off. And we are also giving away an Evenflo pump tonight. So make sure that you go in, click the link that's in the caption, and RSVP and register and everything, and then you'll win yourself a breast pump.
Yay.
Go for it, girl.
Yay. Hi, everyone. So good to be back with you guys and with Jamie. Like Jamie said, this is definitely one of my favorite nights out of the entire month, and I feel so blessed that we get to do this together and with all of you. If you don't know me, if you're just meeting me for the first time tonight, my background, I've been taking care of moms and babies for, over 25 years as a registered nurse and a certified nurse midwife, and I'm also an international board certified lactation consultant. And now I work online on Facebook to work with Jamie and Evenflo and with my whole audience too, to help you bring all this good education and knowledge and information so you can make really good choices for yourselves and for your babies, and just to get good information that is sometimes hard to find online. And that's what we're doing tonight, is just helping to dispel some of those myths and give you really good, facts. The real,
Yeah.
the real stuff.
Real information.
Real information. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
And so that's what we're doing. And I've been working with Evenflo, and so has Jamie, for many, many years. And I actually helped to develop the design and develop the Evenflo Advanced Double Electric. It's a hospital strength pump. That's the prize tonight. And my classes also come included with the pump. So when you get your Evenflo pump, you also get really good quality education included.
Yeah. And no other pump actually gives you classes.
Mm-mm.
So I mean, when we kind of first approached Evenflo, I mean, it was just a little over 3 years ago when we first started talking. It was Jennifer was, breastfeeding and pumping and all of that. And she used the pump and she was like, oh my God, this is the most comfortable breast pump I've ever used. I actually got more milk out. We have to find a way to do something with them. And I did not know of your involvement with them at that point.
Yeah.
We've known each other almost a decade now. So when I saw that you were involved with them, I was just like,
Yeah.
So that was very good. And it makes me very happy that we can do this.
And while we're talking about it, it's not just involved. Like, one of the things that I always talk, it's one of the best products that I can recommend. And I don't just recommend it because it came along and I liked it. They actually came to me when they were designing it. And they asked me, as a lactation consultant, as a midwife, as somebody who's working with new parents, breastfeeding, helping them to pump and breastfeed, what features would I look for if I could design it? And so I love the fact that they came and they asked, and we were able to design this together. And so when I go over features and I go over the qualities and the features of this pump, I love it because I had input into why those features are there, and there's reasons for all of it. That shows a really good company that really cares enough to make something really got good quality and also including the education.
Yeah. And they allow this to happen.
And they make this happen. I'm going to show them a picture. Look at my skills. I got mad skills here, Jamie.
Oh, you are good at this. I don't know how to do any of this.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the pump. That is the pump. And it is a hospital strength pump. So you want to win, make sure they go to the link too. Joe's posting. He's going to put the link in there for anybody who wants to win.
Yeah, make sure you go to the link. That is how you register or enter. So now we're just going to do some questions.
Awesome.
And live our best lives here. And we'll talk about the pump as well. We just have a lot of stuff going on. Gina has a question. I'm actually going to go in order of this. So Christy has a question. Just registered, and I'm so excited. Question, do you have any advice for nursing and pumping for twins? I have 2 girls due in March. I look forward to a response and a chance to win tonight.
Aw. Well, congratulate. What's her first name?
Christy.
Christy. Congratulations, Christy. How exciting. Yeah, I get this question a lot about, like, what are the differences, and, like, do I have to prepare completely different if I'm expecting multiples, and is it possible to breastfeed and exclusively breastfeed twins or even partially breastfeed twins? And the answer is that it is so doable. This is not that it's going to be easy, but breastfeeding is never easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. And those are the things that, I teach everyone. And while I'm teaching everyone the same information, I'm teaching moms of multiples the same information as well, because breastfeeding is supply and demand. And so it's going to depend on how much you feed, how often you feed, making sure that you're feeding your babies on demand to make the milk, and you can make enough milk to feed 2 babies. But the main thing that I would say, if I had to give one really good piece of advice that I've seen just through the moms I've worked with, and I've delivered a lot of twins in my midwifery practice and then worked with a lot of twins in my lactation practice. In the beginning, when you first have the babies, I find that for new moms, it's usually easier and better to focus on one baby at a time when you're first learning how to latch and position. And so many times you'll hear advice of, make sure you're tandem nursing, that you're doing them both at the same time to save time, to get them on a schedule. And that may work for some moms, but the majority of moms that I see, really need to focus in on one baby at a time right in the beginning, alternate, do one breast for one baby, do the other breast for the other, and spend time with each one to make sure you're getting good latch in position, to make sure that you're hearing them swallow, that that baby's getting milk. And you will work into doing both at the same time. So I think that's the pressure, to take that pressure off of yourself, that you have to nail it right from the beginning where you're doing both together. And I promise that will come. Get yourself a good twin pillow as well. Some kind of support that will help you to hold both babies at the same time. Something that, the babies can lay on, and you can do that football position with each of them, because you're going to need your hands to be sort of free. And one more thing too, there's a really great product that I recently started really working with, but I sold it for years in my store, and it's a breast support pillow that you can put under your breast. And when you're nursing twins, it really does help to hold the breast straight out to the baby. And when you can imagine, if you don't have that extra hand to hold the breast up, it's really great to have that little foam wedge that you can put under the breast to hold the breast in position, especially when you're trying to tandem nurse.
Yeah. Christy is here right now, and she actually just had a question about what pillow would she recommend. Mm-hmm. And we are both huge fans of My Breast Friend.
Yeah, definitely.
But like my sister, a lot of the nursing pillows, I think it does depend on your torso height. Yeah. Jennifer did not really like the twin My Breast Friend unless she was sitting on the floor and leaning against the couch, because it's just so big and she didn't have room. So she actually just used a regular boppy for a little. And then she found a couple other pillows that she liked with the twins. But back to your point, in the beginning, my sister has twins, obviously. She was nursing one at a time until nursing was established and everything was good. And then she went bloop. Yep. And it was double football all the time.
Yeah, totally. And that's not to say that there's not moms, because I know some moms out there are going to say, I was nursing them both at the same time right from the beginning. And that's true. There are some moms who can do that. I just like to tell new moms to not put that pressure on themselves, because you may need to nurse them separately, and you may find that doing one at a time actually goes quicker than trying to do them both at the same time, and you're not getting a good latch, and then the feedings take a really long time, and they may go faster if you just do one, alternate them.
Yeah. We just because I just saw it pop up too, a lady was asking, she said her insurance said that they do not cover this pump. Do not go directly to your insurance provider to try to get your pump. Go through a DME, a durable medical equipment provider. Mm-hmm. And they act as your liaison between you and the insurance company to help you get a good pump. And I forget the
link. I'm putting up a link there for them to go to. This is a link that and Joe will put it into the chat as well, but definitely don't go through your insurance first.
Yeah. Always go to a DME. A lot of people don't know that.
You want to talk about that for a minute? I can discuss that a little, because I think people really need to know how to get their pumps.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think what you're bringing up is a really good point about, your insurance company will have contracts with different DMEs, and sometimes if you call your insurance first, you may actually trigger an order where they just send you the pump that they decide to send you. So you really don't want to do that. When you look for a pump that you want, look for the DME, like Jamie said, that carries the pump. In this case, if you want the Evenflo pump, you need to find a company that carries that Evenflo pump, and then go ask them if they take your insurance. And I promise you, they are not going to send you a pump unless they take your insurance, because that's how they get paid for it. But that's how you'll be able to choose the one that you want with all the features that you want versus just getting sent the pump of their choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the link I just put up and the one that Joe just posted in the chat, I believe, will take you to some links to two online DMEs, Yummy Mummy and Byram, that carry the Evenflo pump, and most insurances as well. There's lots of DMEs that carry this pump. So if you heard from your insurance, the insurance doesn't provide the pump.
No.
The insurance doesn't even care which pump you get. The insurance has nothing to do with the pump. The insurance determines the amount they'll reimburse. And in most cases, this one is fully reimbursed because the price is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, they retail depending on if you get it with the bag or not. Like it retails for around $100 plus or minus, 10, 15, depending on where you get it. So
and don't be fooled by the price on the quality. It's really amazing what some of the brands do charge for breast pumps, and it doesn't mean the pump is any better. It doesn't mean it even has the features that you want, like closed systems and multiple flange sizes, or that it is a hospital strength pump. It doesn't mean all those things. Many of them are just, more expensive and not as good a quality as what you want.
Yeah. And none of them come with classes.
None of them come with classes. That's right.
Oh, right. So Gina has a question, and this kind of tags into what you just were talking about with the flange sizes. Question: why does my flange size change? Is that normal? Sometimes I need the smallest insert, and other times nothing is coming out, and I use no insert just fine.
It's such a good question. I don't think we've gotten that question from anybody, but it's a good question because it's something that so many moms experience, and they don't really understand that. Lots of moms don't even understand that flanges come in different sizes. And it was one of the things when we were designing this pump, we said, we need to include 3 different sizes with every model, including the basic, because it is not an accessory, it's a necessity, an accessory, right? And a necessary. And so it's really, and this is exactly the reason why it's a necessary, because your size, every mom is different. And not only do different moms need different sizes, but sometimes you will change size depending on how full the breast is. So maybe in the beginning when you're a little bit more engorged and the breast is a little bit more full, you may need one size to really maximize your output to get the pump to work best for you. Then you'll notice as time goes on, if the breast is not as full, it's drawing more of the nipple into the flange, and it could be rubbing too much, so you may need a smaller size. And so that can change from week to week. Not usually, but it can change. Or you might need one size on your right and another size on your left side. And so not having the different sizes included with the pump, first of all, doesn't let moms know that they do come in different sizes, and doesn't allow you to try them out or change them out, because it's not something you can really measure. It's not like a bra where you can do a measurement and then get a bra. It's something you got to try.
Yeah, and it's like, I know from, working, and you had a store as well, but it's like, working at Bye Bye Baby in like the breast pump area, there's just like this giant wall of parts, and nobody knows what any of it is. And you look at it and you're like, I don't need any of that. And you just kind of leave. It's
overwhelming.
Yeah.
And you
got to get those membranes. Like,
it's overwhelming for moms, and having the spare parts included with the pump, having it simple so you don't have like a million pieces. And I think that's really important too. When we're talking about closed systems and how do the pieces fit together, you want as few pieces as possible to keep your system sealed and intact and clean. And the Evenflo really does that, as well as, the flanges that are soft. They're like velvety soft. Like when you touch, I have one right here actually. When you feel this is the flange. It's super, super soft. So this goes right in here, and that creates different sizes for you. Like I said, that all comes included. But you can see there's like a little air cushion. When you put this on, it's really nice, really comfy. And pumping,
I've never pumped, but all the women I know that have used this, I mean, obviously, they love these silicone inserts because they are so comfortable.
They're so comfortable. And, pumping is about comfort. If you're pumping to the point where you're feeling pain, and so many times when we pump, we think we need to it really needs to hurt. Like we need to turn that suction all the way up so that it hurts. And then we know we're really getting the most out of it. That's not how pumping works. Pumping is all about simulating what your baby does and triggering letdowns through a hormonal response, not by sucking at the breast really, really hard. In fact, when you put the pump on and it's too strong, pain actually can shut down your letdown reflex. So it actually turns off the letdown and it causes you to not express milk. So you want to make sure that you're really comfortable. And so really soft, comfortable flanges, as well as being able to, adjust your speed and suction independently and have something that will help you to let down milk without turning it all the way up is critically important.
Yeah, and I know you have a video. This might be as good a time as any. Shari has a video, and it's pinned to the top of her Facebook, but we can also play it through here.
Yeah.
About the 3-stage pumping method, because one thing I always talk about, in all my speaking events, because Evenflo has partnered with me not only here but in public places. You talk about pumps, and it is not just a phase 1, phase 2 with a pump. Babies do not nurse like that. There's variation. So you have to be able to control everything.
Right.
So I think this video does a really good job of explaining.
Well, and I'll just start that by talking about, when we talk about 2 stages or expression stage and letdown stage, it was a way that pump companies came up with to kind of make it like idiot-proof the pump. And I hate to use that word, but that's basically what they were trying to do, because you do need to cause that letdown to happen. But like Jamie said, it's not just 2 stages. There's a 3rd stage, and that's what your baby will do. And anyone who's out there nursing, or someone who is, if you're expecting, watch the baby nurse and listen for those swallows. And you'll see that the baby will start off with a really quick, gentle suck to get that letdown going. And then all of a sudden, the milk will let down, and they'll suck slower, and they'll suck stronger, and they'll start gulping, and you can hear it. Right? And that'll happen for a little while. And then as the baby needs to get more milk to let down, they start to suck faster again, but they don't let up on their suction. And that's what we're trying to do with the pump. And that's what this 3-stage pumping method is explaining. And I just wanted to start off by saying that, so while you're watching, think of what a baby does and realize that that's 3 stages. We're just kind of mimicking what the baby does. So I'll go ahead and play it. And everybody, if you're in the chat, tell us if you've used the method and if it's worked for you, because I'd love to hear the feedback.
Oh yeah.
Hold on one second. Let me find it. There it is. Okay. Here we go. Oops. Hold on one second.
Pause.
Hold on.
Breastfeeding moms know that pumping takes time.
I thought I had it. Okay. What? Take 2. Just one second. I have to first bring it into the broadcast. That will help if you can see it, right? There we go.
Breastfeeding moms know that pumping takes time and lots of commitment. I have a secret to share that's going to help you get a lot more milk in a lot less time. The first thing you're going to need is a pump that lets you control your speed and suction independently, putting you in control. Start with the pump turned all the way up on speed and low down on suction. This will simulate what the baby does when the baby starts off at the breast to get a milk release or a letdown. Once the milk starts coming out, what you're going to do with your dials is turn your speed down while turning your suction up enough to feel it and not feel pain. Once you see the milk stop flowing, that's when you want to stimulate that second milk release or letdown. This is where it gets good. Turn your speed all the way back up again while leaving your suction exactly where it is. Continue to pump with the speed and the suction turned up until you see the milk releasing or the letdown start one more time. After you see that happen, turn your speed back down and again, repeat. You can stimulate a second, a third, even a fourth release of milk. This is how you maximize the amount that you get out and how you empty the breast as much as possible.
All right. There you go.
There you go.
And there you go. And, I know that can sometimes be confusing. Moms watch the video, and I see a couple people here saying they love it. They use it. It's worked for them. Like Jamie said, it's pinned to the top of my Facebook page. It's had several 100,000 views and uses, and you can go back and watch it anytime and understand what's going on there.
You gotta know how to use the pump.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And
go ahead.
Maybe I can just announce real quick that, everybody's been waiting for me to open up my membership site too, to learn more information. So videos like that, being able to ask questions about breastfeeding and just learn from, over 800 videos and episodes that we've done for many, many years. It just opened tonight. So I just wanted to announce that officially here for New Year's, and here while I was here with you, and just give out the link. So if anybody wants to join our membership and have all the classes included and join our private Facebook group, it's really going to be an awesome. We already have a bunch of people in there, and it's going to be an awesome experience for anybody who's expecting, new moms, experienced moms. There's still a lot to learn. So go to the link. I think it's mybabyexperts.com/Jamie. That's your special link. And it's definitely a special price right now with Jamie's link. So
yeah, you have access to like a ton, because I know a lot. We've done a couple Q&As that weren't specifically just breastfeeding related.
Yeah.
Because these are, I think a lot of people don't understand. You actually, obviously you were a CNM and like you've delivered a ton of babies, a lot about pregnancy and childbirth and all of that. And like you view it all very like it's holistic as it should be.
Totally.
It's everything.
Yeah.
So for people to have access to that information is pretty great.
It's pregnancy, it's birth. I've delivered over 600 babies, and I've been an IBCLC for the last 10 years. But I also had a retail store, like Jamie said before, and so that's how this all came to be. It's like products, education, patient care, like all of it together, and understanding from all perspectives of it, and being able to make recommendations and talk about what you need. And because really, being a mom is a holistic experience. It's not just breastfeeding. It's not just toxins. It's not just feeding, or sleeping. It's everything together. And you guys know that every day of your life, you're integrating it all together. So being able to learn it all together is really important.
Yeah. So y'all put the link up. I'll put the link up again as well. So it's very good. It's a lot of really good information, and that's why we do this.
Yep.
Deanna has a question. I've been using a nipple shield with my 1-month-old because of issues latching. Should I start weaning her off of this? Is she missing out on anything by using the shield? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Great. Awesome. Nipple shields are such a useful tool for moms who struggle with flat or inverted nipples, sometimes really sore, cracked nipples where it's just too painful to latch the baby. It's a great way to get the baby back to breast. Or if a baby's been on a bottle, and you're trying to transition and teach them how to latch at the breast again, it's a great tool. You want to make sure that if you use a nipple shield or you decide to introduce one, that you work with an IBCLC to do that. Don't just make that decision on your own. And the reason is because, to answer this question, nipple shields can work fantastic and have no issue with it at all. And at the same time, if the baby's not able to transfer milk well, it can interfere with your milk supply. So some babies may struggle with a nipple shield to compress all the ducts around the areola and get that full milk release and get the milk to come out. Remember, there's something blocking. You're not directly on the breast. But what I would say to, what was her name again? Gina or
Deanna.
What?
Deanna.
Deanna. What I would say to Deanna is that if she's been using the nipple shield for a month, if there's whatever that reason was, if she's working with an IBCLC to correct that problem, don't be afraid to continue using it as long as you need to. I have that happen all the time where moms are so anxious to come off the shield that they keep trying to latch back to the breast, and for whatever the reason was that they needed to use it, they're better off using the shield than trying to struggle at the breast while you're trying to figure out the problem. So, as long as you know the baby's transferring milk, as long as you know that you're getting those wet and poopy diapers, the baby's gaining weight well, everything's okay, you can transition off that slowly. And I've never in 10 years ever had a mom who wanted to come off the nipple shield and had to nurse with the nipple shield the entire year or longer. Everyone eventually is able to get off that shield. It's just that sometimes you need to have patience. It's going to take a little bit of time, and you're going to have to transition as the baby gets older and the mouth gets bigger and you've corrected whatever that problem is. Even flat or inverted nipples, babies can latch to the breast. They're latching to the areola and the breast, not the nipple. And when their mouth is big enough, they are able to do it. And when they're smart enough, and not smart enough, they're always smart. They're smart from birth, but when they're more aware that that's where they get their food, they'll latch. They will latch.
Yeah. My Jennifer used nipple shields, I want to say, for like the first 3-4 months, I think.
Yeah.
Because the twins were wee. They were tiny.
Right, exactly.
And then it was a transition getting off of those,
It takes strength. It takes strength in the mouth to hold that nipple there, especially for a mom. Some moms have, way more nipples that are more pronounced, that are easy. You could stick the nipple right in the baby's mouth. Lots of moms don't have that, and the baby really needs to suck the nipple out. It takes a lot of suction and strength in the mouth to be able to do that. So
let's talk about this really quick, just because this has come up a couple times.
Yeah.
When I went through the breastfeeding classes where I worked, I'd seen women breastfeed. I've been around it a lot, but you're not as aware when you see a baby of what's going on back in here.
Right.
It's not called nipple feeding. It's called breastfeeding. So they're actually taking the nipple way back in the mouth to their soft palate, and they have the tissue from the underside of the areola and down, and that's what's important for them to get and suck on and massage to get milk out.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why it all goes together. It's how does the baby open their mouth? How are you positioning? Because the baby needs to be close enough to the breast to get that nipple way back, far in their mouth where the hard and soft palate meet. It has to go far, far back. And that's going to really depend on how are you positioning and holding the baby there. So all those things are super important. All those things. So positioning, the way the baby opens their mouth. If there's any kind of tethered oral tissues like tongue ties or lip ties can cause restriction where the baby can't actually latch well. And probably one of the most common reasons for babies having difficult latch is that tongue tie, or misdiagnosed tongue ties.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's a whole other
thing. And we did do a really good episode back in October. I had a panel of really the top 4 experts just doing this show with me. And all those episodes, if you're looking for some of the past episodes of where are they, well, they're all available now. They're in the library and they're part of the membership, and you will get access to everything. And that 2-hour tongue tie show was unbelievable. Amazing. Speech language pathologist, a craniosacral therapist, a lactation consultant, top physician who does revisions every single day. Just really, really good. So if you think that might be the problem, definitely check that out.
Yeah. This is a good one. It ties in kind of to your favorite topic of biting. But Jennifer has a question. I'm thinking in advance. Good. What do moms do when their little one starts to teeth? I'm nervous about biting. She refuses to take a bottle and is only breastfed. Any tips are greatly appreciated.
Well, teething can definitely make it challenging because they want to rub their gums, and so I just remember when I was nursing that that kind of movement back and forth, or she kind of rub her gums along on my breast. So what you want to do is make sure you have something else for them to rub their gums on and realize that it's teething. I think not allowing them to use the breast as a teether. Some people will say, oh, they need to breastfeed more. Well, you know what? That can be really difficult, especially when they're trying to chomp down. So you want to have something available for them to chomp on and not have it be your breast. Pay attention while you're nursing, so that you can kind of shove your little finger right in there between their gums so that they don't bite down too hard. And really just look for signs of teething with your baby so that you're just a little bit more aware. That'll really help. And also holding the baby closer. When a baby is kind of hanging off the nipple, if you kind of, as they get older, the nipple becomes a little more elastic. Has anybody noticed that? It becomes way more elastic. Eventually it does go back, I have to say, but it becomes so elastic, you're like, whoa, it can really pull. And Niplash, exactly. But they become elastic and it doesn't hurt anymore. And so you kind of can get a little lazy with, the baby's kind of like hanging off, the nipple's kind of pulled. You don't want to do that, because the farther back the baby is away from your body, the more they can close their mouth. The closer you hold them to your breast, the more their mouth is kind of forced into an open position. It's harder to bite down. Imagine that. If your nose is smushed up, you have to pull back to clamp down. And so holding them close and paying attention to your positioning when you're dealing with the teething can really help. Look for signs of teething. Know the signs of teething. Teething doesn't always just look like drooling. Teething can come with other signs like mild fevers, fussiness, even diaper rash. I mean, these are all signs of your baby teething, and it can happen early. My second baby got her first 2 teeth at 4 months old. So that was young, real young. Some babies, and some babies, my first baby didn't get teeth till she was 10 months. My second baby, I was surprised to see 4 months. And even I missed the signs. I just didn't expect at 3 months old that we were showing signs of teething. But babies can get teeth really early.
And the diaper rash is because they're swallowing more saliva and they have runnier stools, correct?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely one of the reasons, but it also can just be, they can get a systemic effect from teething, which is what causes fever, all the things that they go through with teething.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm going to go pull some questions off of Facebook now. Go. I'm sorry, I'm going to mispronounce this name. Azru Warner has a question. How do I wean my toddler? She nurses to go down for her nap and go to bed at night, and we bed share. I'm 6 months pregnant, and I'm pretty positive I'm not producing milk anymore since she only nurses these times now.
So, if she's nursing 2 times, I don't know why she thinks that she's not making or producing any milk. Being able to nurse while you're pregnant, that's doable. Your body will make milk. Sometimes it can decrease a little, especially in the first trimester, but then it usually comes right back again. And you can make milk through the entire time you're pregnant. Lots of moms go on to breastfeed through their pregnancy and then tandem nurse both babies after the birth. So I think that if you're thinking that it's just that you have to wean, that you don't have milk and there's no reason for it, that's probably not true if the baby's wanting to nurse twice a day. But if you want to wean, that's a whole separate story. To wean, what you really need to do, especially with a toddler, it's so hard. I mean, one of the hardest ages is around 18 months. That's just my observational experience is that an 18-month-old is very hard to reason with about anything. And try to tell an 18-month-old that they can't have it anymore. It's not easy. And they don't forget that quickly either. I would say that the easiest way, and especially if you're doing it before bed as a way to go to bed, right? Is that what you said? Before bed and during the night? 2 of the hardest times. One thing that I would probably recommend is that your husband's going to need to take over. If you really want to wean, being there is going to be really hard because you can't reason. You just can't reason with them. So that's probably going to be the easiest thing, is to have somebody else put the baby to bed, not you.
Well,
and it's
ow, I just hit my foot.
Oh.
They also bed share. So with the toddler in bed with them, the toddler's going to smell it. They're going to want everything. So like you gotta dissociate.
I don't know if there's an answer to this question. I'm just going to be really honest. I could give all this advice, and I don't think it's really hard to wean a toddler at that age. It's really hard to bed share and get them to stop nursing. You're going to have a fight on your hands about this. And so if the way that she worded the question was that, I really don't think there's any milk left, I wouldn't worry about that. Even if there's no milk, the kid wants to nurse, and wants you, and there is milk. There most likely is milk. If you've been doing it all along, there most likely is milk. In order to wean a toddler, I believe you really have to not be there. I don't mean like completely absent. I just mean somebody else has to step in for a little bit. Bed sharing's hard when you're trying to wean.
Yeah.
That's just, and it goes together, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with continuing, and there's nothing wrong with nursing too. It's really a choice, but it kind of all goes together.
Laura has a good question. Laura Battles. Should I offer both breasts at every feeding? My 3-week-old seems satisfied with one, but I didn't know if him eating only one at a time would affect my supply, or if I should just roll with it.
Mm-hmm. How old's the baby?
3 weeks, sorry.
3 weeks. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a yes and no answer. After you have the baby and your milk first comes in, it's called engorgement. And so many moms experience, sometimes not painful, but just more milk than your baby actually needs to eat. And when you're making more milk than the baby actually needs to eat, sometimes it's really helpful to stick to one side at a time and alternate sides for feeding. So you're feeding on one breast, baby's getting more than enough from one breast, also getting through that more watery milk that first comes out when the breast is full to the hind milk, through the foremilk to the hind milk where there's more fat and calories. So sometimes we do recommend sticking to one side at a time. That being said, as the weeks start to go on and even the months start to go on, sometimes moms will take that advice and just stick with it for too long, where the baby's like not getting everything that they need. I just recently did a consultation with a mom over Skype with this particular situation where the baby was gaining a little too slowly, really wasn't gaining. And when I questioned her about how she was nursing, she said she was doing one side at a time. That's what her doctor had told her initially, and she stuck with it. And, when I finally said, once the swallowing starts to slow down, offer the other side. It's time to switch and do both sides. The baby started gaining. So it was just like that rigidness of thinking that's the way to do it and sticking with it. Sometimes the answer is yes, stay to one side, and then that may change. And so I would say for her, if her baby's 3 weeks old and still she's getting really good swallowing and she's got a good milk supply and the baby's peeing at least 6 to 8 wet diapers a day and poopy diapers and gaining weight, maybe sticking to one side is fine for now. There's no problem with that. And lots of people do that, and they actually do get the hind milk that way.
Mm-hmm. And I think this also, you can completely correct me, obviously, if I'm wrong, but there are pediatricians out there who 99.9% of them are not trained in breastfeeding at all.
Most.
And there are some pediatricians out there who will say it is important to offer both breasts at a feeding. But if you are doing that and left is not fully drained and you go over to right, you have to fully drain to produce. Yes. So if you're not fully drained, that can affect supply as well.
Yeah. It's really about watching the baby. And a lot of that advice comes with like timing the feedings, like do 20 minutes on each side. as if that tells you anything. You know, newborns they're slower to eat. They take longer to eat. And so sometimes the feedings take a long time, but as the weeks go on, those feedings get shorter and shorter. So time has nothing to do with this. You know, it's more about learning your baby's cues, watching what they're doing at the breast, listening for swallows, and knowing the difference between when are they just sucking and when are they actually eating. There's a difference, and they do both at the breast, which is good. You want them to do both. But when they're at the point where, you know, when the milk is really flowing, it's like a suck, swallow, suck, suck, swallow, suck, swallow. And the swallows sound like in the throat, it's like a, so it's suck, 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 and it's like they're gulping that milk. You can imagine what that sounds like. And as the milk starts to drain and it's time to switch sides, it may sound more like a suck, 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 suck. And it's like there's a lot more space between those swallows. At that point, you don't want to wear the baby out. It's like time to switch. Time to switch. You're never going to fully drain the breast. You'll always hear a little bit more. The breast really doesn't fully drain. You can't fully drain it. But you do get to a point where it's time to switch because you want those nice heavy letdowns to get the baby as much as they can. And you'll usually see this, and this is good advice for the person who just asked that question. You know, somewhere around 2 to 3 weeks old, the baby will have their first growth spurt. And during that growth spurt, you know, you'll probably need both breasts. And that's usually when it switches. You know, the first couple weeks, you could probably stick to one side. You're a little bit engorged. You have an oversupply from what the baby needs. Then the baby hits a first growth spurt around 2, 3 weeks old, sometimes 4. And how it looks is all of a sudden the baby's really hungry. What's happening is they're growing quickly. And now they really need all the milk. And then by draining, like Jamie said, by draining the breasts, it tells your body to make more. And that's actually how you're regulating your milk supply. So that's usually the first time where moms will go from feeding on one side to needing both. I do a whole chapter on growth spurts in my class, the Simply Breastfeeding class. There's 2 courses that actually come with the Evenflo pump, which is the prize tonight. There's your pump, right? Remember to register to win the Evenflo pump. But when you get the pump, we were talking about the 2 classes. One is called Simply Breastfeeding, and one is called Breast Pumps and Briefcases. They both come with the pump. And there's a whole chapter in that Simply Breastfeeding class that will talk about growth spurts and what to do and how to recognize it and how to not like sabotage yourself by not understanding what it looks like. You know, thinking that somehow my milk just dried up for no reason. It's one of the biggest myths there is that, you know, you were going along fine, you had all this milk, and then all of a sudden just one day you don't have enough and you start to supplement instead of recognizing that that's a growth spurt and that's what it looks like. The baby does look hungry and may be nursing every hour and a half, which is normal. By putting the baby back on and getting those last bits and last drops of milk out, you'll rebound within, 24, 48 hours to, you're engorged again and it starts all over again. Now the baby's going to gagging and choking and feeling that oversupply once again. And that happens throughout, the first year. The first one around 2 to 3 weeks, then somewhere around 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, they have these growth spurts and they grow that way. They don't grow evenly every single day.
Good answer. I'm going to go pull a couple more because we've got like 10 minutes.
Laura's in the chat and she said, thank you for answering. He's going through a growth spurt now since he can drain both sides now.
Here we go. Rebecca is here. And the way the Facebook app works, it's actually impossible to scroll up and get questions from earlier.
Yeah.
But Rebecca has a question. I'm a working mother and super busy at work. Any suggestions on how to keep up with the milk supply for my 3-month-old baby?
Yeah. Well, couple suggestions for sure. One is to make sure that you're pumping regularly while you're at work. Don't skip those pumping sessions and make that your priority. You're wanting to continue to make milk for your baby, and that still even though you're back to work and it's hard, it's so hard to go back. I know, but it still needs to be your number one priority so that you make that the priority when you're there. Make sure you have a pump that really functions for you. So it doesn't need to take a really long time. It really doesn't. If you know how to stimulate multiple letdowns, you can get that milk out fairly quickly. So make sure you have the right pump for you and a good pump. Hopefully the Evenflo. It's really like I said, my number one recommendation. Second thing is if you find you just can't produce enough during the day, or you need that extra milk, sometimes getting up in the middle of the night when you're back to work and just pumping one side, or when you're feeding the baby first thing in the morning, when you wake up, you feed the baby on one side, you put the pump on the other. Sometimes having that little bit of extra while you're home, and especially in the middle of the night or early morning, is when your breasts are the fullest. And for lots of moms, they can get extra milk out in addition to what the baby needs to eat. That could sometimes add that little extra that you may not be able to get while you're at work and working all day. And then the last thing to really, and this is probably the number one thing, is really understand how much a baby is supposed to eat. I find that the biggest issue, and I have a whole class on low milk supply in my membership group. There's an entire class called low milk supply, and I talk about low milk supply being the number one breastfeeding issue, which it is. It's the number one. If you ask most moms, what is their biggest issue with breastfeeding? It's low milk supply. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep.
And I would say that, when you look at low milk supply, probably over 80% of low milk supply issues are perceived low milk supply. It's still an issue. I mean, it's a big issue. It's what creates the secondary issue of supplementation or other things where you actually do create now a more physical issue, but not understanding how much is a baby supposed to eat? How much should I be pumping? Should I be pumping, 8 ounces, 6 ounces, like 2 ounces? What is it? Not understanding that leads you to believe that you're not making enough. And this is a phenomena that we have more with pumping because we're actually seeing the milk. Where, in days gone by, we didn't see milk. We put the baby to the breast and we didn't actually see the milk or know how much they were actually getting. And it seems to be a thing where moms just really need to know how much is the baby getting. And then whoever's watching the baby or their caretakers, making sure they're not overfeeding your baby while you're gone. You leave 4 ounces of milk for a feeding and they feed all your feedings at one sitting. And then they tell you that you're not making enough. And so paced feedings, okay, if you don't know what that is, please look it up. We don't have a lot of time tonight to talk about it, but Google paced feedings and understand how to pace the feedings when you're using a bottle, and learn what the normal amounts of breast. I actually have a picture, Jamie. Can I show it?
Yeah, and then I have a question.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, there it is. Can you see that?
Yep.
All right, those are the quantities of milk. And, we're talking about small amounts. The one all the way to the right is actually a full feeding, anywhere from 6 weeks. When I say 6 weeks to weaning, and everybody always questions me on this graphic, I mean, whenever you decide to wean. I don't mean you need to wean. It's 6 weeks to whenever you decide to wean, meaning the entire time they're nursing. A normal a feeding is normally around 4 ounces, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. It all depends on how often you're feeding. But that is a normal amount of breast milk. And these are the small little bottles here, okay? When you get those big 8-9 ounce bottles and you think you need to fill those up for a breastfed baby, it is absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. Your body's not going to keep producing more and more and more. This is what the body makes, and then this is what they eat throughout the entire year and beyond. So that's my best answer to her, is try to pump a little extra at other times and make sure that she's not creating some perceived issue.
Okay. Samantha had a question, and she's still here, so she reposted it because I can't scroll up. Samantha says, I hope this is an okay question to ask. No such thing as a question that's not okay. We've heard it all in here. I'm currently nursing my 3 kids. My first nursling will be 5 next month. He rarely asks to nurse anymore. What is the best way to let him wean himself? Should I still ask him if he wants to nurse without him initiating it, or only wait for him to ask?
For the 5-year-old?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would not offer. It's not something that if he wants to and he asks, that's a different question. But that's how they start to wean. They start to just become less interested. So it's not something you want to remind them of, unless, what my impression from this question is that you want to start to wean him off or allow him to naturally wean, which is what you've done, which is totally fine. But you don't have to remind him to nurse. He obviously knows if he wants to or not. And it's not something that you have to encourage or discourage. It's sort of neutral at this point. Let him guide it. Let him ask. If he doesn't ask, that's how they eventually stop.
There you have it. Molly has a question. My 5-week-old eats between 40 and 50 cc's in the weighted feeds we've done. Is that sufficient?
40 and 50, say that again?
40 to 50 cc's in the weighted feedings that they've done.
And how old is the baby? Oh, I can see the question. 5 weeks old. Mm-hmm. Perfect, actually. It's perfect. So when it all depends on 40 to 50 is somewhere around a little over 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces. It all depends on how frequently, Molly, you're feeding the baby. So the baby's going to eat somewhere between 1 to 1.25 ounces per hour. And when we look at those 4-ounce bottles, like I was showing before, that's taken into account assuming the baby's going somewhere around 3 to 4 hours between feedings. That may not be the case, most likely not with your 5-week-old. Baby's probably eating every 2 hours, which means it's about 1.5 hours from one feeding to 2 hours from the beginning of one feeding to the beginning of the next. 2 hours in between is going to give you somewhere around 2 to 2.5 ounces. It's a little bit less than that, but maybe the baby's eating more frequently. I don't know the answer. Maybe you can answer it there. But I would expect somewhere around 1 ounce to 1.25 ounces per hour.
Azra 2 Warner also has a question. This is just called when you think it happens to us all. But she says, mug. So, yes.
I have no answer to that. It's perfect. Yes. It's perfect the way it is.
It's a yes or no question. It's very easy. Here we go. Casey has a question. I can't get my 4-week-old to get a good seal. He sucks in air every time he swallows. I don't know how to encourage him to get a better seal. We've had a tongue and lip tie revised. He's miserable with gas after every feed. I've tried many positions, including laid back, and try my hardest to get a great deep latch. Any suggestions? I want his tummy to feel better.
My best suggestion is that you go back for another revision. They didn't do enough.
Really?
Yeah. They didn't do enough. And this happens a lot. They do a little, they don't do it all. They don't do a complete release. And not being able to seal to the breast, not being able to, all that gas, that's the air that's being swallowed from not getting that good seal. And it's very, unfortunately, common to have these revisions done. Whoever does the revision is not doing a full release, and it may need to be done again.
Interesting.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I would start there. I mean, the fact that he had a tongue tie. So she said she went back and had the posterior tongue revised again. So you already had the revision. Casey, make sure that you're working with also, is there an IBCLC involved in this? Who knows what they're doing? As well as, getting some craniosacral therapy. Like you need to do, it's a whole team approach. This is not just get the revision and done. You need to do the exercises. This is sometimes the baby needs to really be retrained how to suck. They've had their tongue a certain way their entire life, and then you do the revision and they're not able to make those movements the way they need to. And so you really need to be working with someone who knows what they're doing. And even if the tongue's been revised again, it could still mean it's still not enough. If you don't do the stretching and after the revision, it can grow back. And it's not just about breastfeeding. I want to say that, it's really important. It's not just about breastfeeding. So it's not like, okay, well, I've had enough. We'll just switch to a bottle and we'll just give up this breastfeeding thing and not think about it. If the baby's having issues latching and creating a seal and having all this air swallowing and it's still there, you have to keep addressing it, unfortunately, because I know you have already, you got to address it because this can impact the way they eat, the way they speak. It can impact, sleep apnea and their breathing. It has impacts for the rest of their lives. And many babies are really misdiagnosed or not treated properly.
Yeah. Tiffany has a question. Daycare says the 2-ounce bottles I leave are not enough. Is there an average amount I should leave 3 months old?
Depends on how often. Again, right back to what we were saying. If they're looking at formula bottles, they're going to compare your little puny 2-ounce, right, to these giant, huge 6 or 7-ounce bottles. It has nothing to do with the amount. It has to do with how frequently they are feeding the baby. 2-ounce bottles every 2 hours is a normal amount if that's how often they're feeding. If I would just try to calculate, to give you some kind of a guideline, it is 1 to 1 1/4 ounces per hour that the baby's going, how long they're going between feeding. So calculate that out. If it's every 3 hours, it's somewhere around 3 to 4 ounces that they need per feeding. So 2 ounces is not enough if the baby's going 4 hours in between, right?
Yeah. Oh goodness, questions are coming in.
Well, let me just say something about the questions.
Go ahead.
This is exactly why I have my membership site. This is what we're going to be doing in the membership is we are going to be doing Q&As like this where there'll be a lot less people. You'll get most of your questions. I can't guarantee everybody's question, but we'll be doing weekly private Q&As as well as the Q&As that we do here, Jamie. We've time coded these so that you can go back to the entire library of Q&As that Jamie and I have done over the last few years and really search out your question because most likely we answered everything along the way. How many things have we covered? Things like so much. And then, to be able to really access that, and I know the questions are going to keep coming in because you want to know, and I understand, but that's a really good way to do it. Joe will post the link again for you guys.
I have it. Oh, no, I didn't have that one pinned. I have the pump pinned at the top. And this is one we touched on. Kayla, she reposted, so I want to answer. My 3-month keeps pulling away as he's nursing, even after the letdown. Recommendations to stop him from doing this.
Well, most times babies will pull away from the breast because if there's just a really heavy, strong letdown. Some people just have a large oversupply or a really forceful letdown where the baby stimulates that the hormone that causes the milk to release. And when that happens, it comes out so hard. It's spraying out of like 20 different holes in the nipple and the baby's overwhelmed with it. And so, yes, they will pull back. What I would say is laid back nursing or the baby on top for really strong letdowns is really helpful. Instead of the baby underneath you where you've got the breast on top of them and they're kind of like choking and drowning on the milk, allowing them to control it where the baby pops off with the letdown, that would be fine to allow the baby to control that flow so they're not choking on it. So that's one thing. The other thing is sometimes a baby pops off because they need to burp. They have that strong letdown. They gulp really hard because there's like a mouthful of milk. They gulp really hard and then they actually need to burp. And the tugging or the pulling back that happens is actually the baby signaling that they just swallowed a big air bubble and they need to burp. And that's a good sign to take them off, burp them and put them back on. And that's pretty common too. So it's hard to keep them after the letdown happens. If there's a lot of milk and they pull off, they're just trying to deal with the milk supply. That especially happens after a growth spurt. Like we were talking about earlier, where there's a growth spurt and then the rebound from feeding really frequently. And all of a sudden you get all this extra milk. You'll notice that you go from like the baby's hungry every hour, you're feeding, you feel empty and drained the whole time. And then the next day, you're so full, the baby's like gagging, choking, pulling off. That will regulate again, and it goes in cycles. But baby on top is a good position.
All right. It's past 8. We've been going for about an hour 10.
We can go a long time with this, huh, Jamie?
Yeah. So
especially when you start answering everybody's questions here. I know you guys have so many questions. Come over and post them, and check out my page. Check out the membership if you want to really get involved with the community.
Obviously, make sure you're following Shari on her Facebook page as well.
I don't think I was tagged in this post, Jamie, so if they want to find me, I don't think they can.
Yeah, they can. I pinned.
Oh, okay.
And people should also know how to use the search feature, quite frankly.
They're tired.
We're all tired. We're all tired. You got to learn how to use search.
I'm tired. And it's only 8 o'clock there. It's 10 o'clock here.
Yeah.
It's been a long week. It's been a long week for everybody.
It's the holiday season. It just wears everybody out.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
I mean, I was like off with all these people in the past 2 days. I've just been like recovering, and then it came straight off that trip to England.
Oh, right. You had a good time. I saw the pictures. It looked awesome.
Oh, I'll tell you a story since we're all family here. I want to write a separate post about this, what happened over there. I've not been public yet. But the second night we were there, we were staying in this little bitty village, cute little boutique hotel with like a proper pub behind it. Guinness World Record for amount of gin from different distilleries they had in one location. Really cool, really old, super fun. But we go to this like tribute band of somebody who won the X Factor or whatever. It was just absolutely atrocious. So like we knew it was not going to be that great. It was just going to be fine. So we're like drinking wine and having dinner. There are 4 of us. So then after a few bottles of wine, it's like tired because you're jet lagged.
Oh, yeah.
And go back to the hotel to go to bed. And around, I don't know, 3 or 4 in the morning, I wake up because I need to use the little boy's room. And my room is pitch black. So I just kind of get out of bed. I'm still not familiar with my room yet. And I didn't want to turn my lights on. So I wake up and I open a door and I walk.
Oh, no.
The door and I walk. I'm going in the bathroom. And I like kind of come to and open my eyes. And I'm in the janitor's closet. I had locked myself out of my hotel in my underwear. And like people are still hanging out in the lobby. They're all loud. And I'm like, oh no, what do I do? Do I like wake me up, get over to the front desk? And so I got a cleaning rag from the janitor's closet and like wrapped it around myself and stood there. And I'm like, I gotta get this figured out. I just gotta.
Oh my God! You did not.
And I waved at the front desk guy, and he came and let me in my room.
Only you would do that. Oh my God!
Like I was.
Oh, and the doors like right next to each other for the bathroom, and like
the doors were very close. So I was just completely jet lagged, and I think I was like borderline sleepwalking, to be honest, because I was crack tired.
Oh my God! Oh my God! That's awesome.
Just Jamie wandering around a hotel in his underwear.
Joe's laughing in the other ear. I'm cracking up.
Messy.
Oh my God! Well, that was a nice introduction to London.
Yes.
You fit right in.
That was about 5 hours north, actually. We were up in Yorkshire.
Nice. Oh my God, that's so funny. And you got locked out too.
I got locked out.
What, Joe?
That clip just made the gag reel.
Joe said that clip just made the gag reel for us.
Oh, absolutely.
Added to the collection.
Luann, my travel mom, is also laughing. That's good.
Hi, Luann.
Yeah, it was a real, like, I've never had that happen before. I've just been so jet lagged, nothing makes sense.
Oh my God.
It was a rough one.
Oh my God. Well, that's pretty far,
And I didn't sleep well. Like I slept really well the night before, but on the way there, I didn't really sleep on the plane. So like you wake up and it's like 3 a.m. your time, but it's like 10 there, and you like nothing makes sense, and you just have to go to meetings, and it's like It was great.
Oh my god. Oh my god, so funny.
It's a real treat. It's a treat for everyone.
At least you made it back safe and sound. We're happy.
And I don't travel again until February, which is good.
Nice.
As of now.
Nice. All right. Well, this is it for the year, Jamie.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, lady. Happy New Year, all of y'all, even though it's not really New Year yet. But make sure if you like these Q&As that we do and you like hanging out with us, just make sure to even like go stop by the Evenflo Facebook page and be like, thank you for this. We learned something. Like, just go give them a little shout out, a little Facebook touch of love, because that's good. And we thank them for this. So, yeah.
And don't forget to register to win. Awesome.
Yeah, you want a pump.
You're going to win one.
Get yourself a pump.
Get yourself a pump. There we go. Pumps for all. It's a good way to start the year. All right. Well, I'll see you in 2018.
Absolutely. And in February, I'll be in New York. So we're going to
wait. We'll do it here from my house together. Those are the best ones where we can be next to each other.
Yep. So I will see y'all. Thank you all for hanging out. And be good to each other.
Good night, everyone.
Good.
Happy New Year. Bye.
Bye.